Oh my goodness. Welcome back to the Global Flow series. I'm Joanna Turner and I am so excited to introduce you to Bri Seeley. This lady is amazing and I'm so blessed you've decided to join us. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You're so a little bit backstory. How do I even know Bri? We've actually met in person because she came as a connection and came and spoke at my event that I had in LA before. And along with your partner in crime, Thais, did an incredible presentation all about networking. And from there, I came and cat sat for you while you were away in your new beautiful home. And yeah, we've had some beautiful dinners and I'm just so glad you're here because I just love what you do. I love your message and I just want everybody to meet you and get to know how awesome you are.
Thanks.
And I just love that meeting people in person then translates into this. And I'm just a big fan of it. Like it makes such a difference to me that I know you. Like, I just think that's cool.
I feel like we did it backwards. So many people like meet on Facebook.
Yeah.
And then like they know each other for so long.
Yeah.
And then at some point they may or may not meet in person, but we totally did it backwards, which is fabulous.
Or the right, like the way it used to be.
The real way, right?
People used to just meet each other in person, which I love. But I want to give you your official bio because people need to know who you are and why you're so fabulous in what you do. So I'll just read this to get us started. So, and today's topic is getting into the flow of manifestation. So this is going to be awesome. So Bri Seeley is passionate about supporting women to live on purpose and be inspirational women in their lives every day. She speaks, writes, and mentors to connect women with their unique passion for life and supports them to build inspirational lives for themselves. Bri is the founder of the Inspirational Women Project, a movement which aims to tell the stories of every woman. She's also co-founder of the Amplify Collective, an unnetworking movement for women, and co-host of Be Amplified, the podcast. She's a regular contributor for the Huffington Post and has been featured on the Today Show, Kickstarter, PBS, and Free Enterprise. Bri received the Outstanding Small Business Award from the Los Angeles Mayor's Office and the Small Business Development Center in 2016. Wow, that's cool. Yay, I'm so glad we get to talk about all this stuff. I know, right? It's actually, I've been getting to know some of, it's a mixture of people I know in this, and I read their bios and I'm like, man, you're like even cooler than I realized. Like, I'm like, oh, crikey, I should be more respectful. No, I'm kidding. So before we jump into the flow of manifestation, just can you tell us a little bit more about how the heck you're doing what you do now and where you started? What's your story?
So really where I am right now is because of flow, and I'll tell you guys way more about that story in a little bit. But originally I started off as a fashion designer. So when I was 17, I went away to college, got a bachelor's in fashion design, ended up in Europe for a year. And then when I graduated college was like, I don't want to be an adult. I'm going back to school. And I went back to Europe and got a master's in fashion as well. And then through a series of events, ended up opening my own fashion brand and was really like, I mean, I was making gains in the industry. I was getting awards. I was in Women's Wear Daily. I was on the cover of Apparel News, like all these things. And it was like 2 years ago, I was in meditation on spring equinox and got this really clear, like, what are you doing? Seriously, Stop. Like this fashion thing is not it. Like just stop. And that was on a Saturday. And the following Tuesday, I launched my new collection. And that Wednesday, I shut my brand down.
I have like full body goosebumps. I don't know if you can see that, but
someone just told me, well, Luna, do you know Luna Love? We interviewed her today. She's a friend of Amatale's, and she was saying those are called truth bumps, not goosebumps.
Ooh, I love it. I sometimes call them angel ones because I feel like it's just true. Yeah, like truth. I love that. But yeah, full body there. So that's always
truth bumps. Yeah, so shut my fashion brand down, had zero clue what I was going to do. A month later, kind of opened up coaching because I realized that the universe had been kind of tapping me on the shoulder a little bit here and there, being like, hey, all these people were coming to me being like, how'd you do what you do? Can you teach me? Like, can I mentor under you? Like all these things. And so opened up my coaching business, and I'm not going to lie, the first year sucked. Like it was hard. The thing they don't tell you about like helping other people go through their shit is that you have to go through yours first. And so
nobody mentions that, do they?
No one says that. They have this great bill of goods of like, oh, it's going to be fantastic. And they don't tell you all the personal work that goes along with it. So I spent 9 months, like I joke that I spent 9 months in the fetal position on my bed, just crying and like dealing with my stuff and like going through and doing this like internal not even spring, like full on hoarder status, like clean out. Right. And the end of 2015 was New Year's Eve. Like I couldn't pay my rent the following day. I was applying for waitressing jobs. I was freaking out. I could not find someone to hire me. My parents wouldn't loan me money. I was like just full on done.
And that's only like 4
years
ago, right? Like that's not that long ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I kind of threw my hands up and surrender and was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I'm clearly not doing whatever it is. I just don't know. I have no idea. And so show me. Like I can't effort anymore. I can't care. Show me. And that month I went from having no money and having to pay my rent in 2 installments to doing my first 5-figure month.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. After 9 months of, I think I had like 4 clients or 5 clients in 9 months or something like that.
Wow.
And so that was huge. And then last year, just little by little, I kept getting little signs. And I know you're going to ask me, but like, this is me being in flow, is like really being in alignment with universal energy and like using that co-creative magic of like, I always say you can't be too spiritual, but you also can't be too human. Like it has to be this beautiful balance of both, because the spirituality is what guides us. It's what shows us where to go, what to focus on, all that stuff. And our humanity is then what takes that and goes out and turns it into reality. Yeah. And so, so using kind of that model last year, I was able to go from nothing in January to having built a 6-figure business by September.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, that's solid, right? Like really incredible. And I do want to dive more into that and what that looks like. Just tell us a little bit about what you do now. Now, I know you help women live these inspirational lives, and I brushed over a couple of the projects you work on. Can you just tell us a little bit more about what you're doing now?
Yeah, so my business that I run, it's my name, is teaching women to build lives that inspire them. And so I do that through some coaching. I do a very, very small amount of private coaching. I do a lot of group stuff because I believe in the dynamic of women supporting women, which is really important to me. So I do a lot of group stuff, and then I do some manifestation training. And actually, I'm releasing 2 of my first digital programs in March.
Oh,
so
cool.
Yeah, so that's kind of one of the things I have coming out in the soonish future. And then the Inspirational Woman Project is, I actually realized I kind of need to update my bio. It's in flux. It's a little bit in the land of the unknown. It's in like business purgatory right now. It's like in this weird, I don't really know. So that may or may not be turned into a book this year. It may or may not go away. I have no idea. Universe won't give me any answers right now. Fine.
See that. Yeah.
Fine. And then
whenever you're ready.
I know. The Amplify Collective is a community of women in Los Angeles, women looking to connect in ways that don't suck. So we do this unnetworking thing where we get together and we don't talk about work. We don't lead with our job titles. We don't exchange business cards. It feels amazing, and business still gets done.
Yes. That's everything. I love it. I still get those, like, people Facebook messaging me, like they've just added me as a friend. They're like, hey, this is what I do my thing. And I'm like, whoa, what? Like, yeah. So I love it. But offline, that kind of thing still happens. And I love you guys just flip it on its head, and it's like, no.
Yeah. Because networking sucks.
Right? Yeah. And you have a podcast as well with your amazing partner in crime.
Yep. So through the Amplify Collective, we do have a podcast, which we have a freaking blast on. We get messages all the time about like, you guys are amazing and hilarious. And we're both very quirky, and we have just crazy people on, and we end up having these people say that it's like sitting down for a glass of wine with us, and they just feel like they're having this conversation with us. So
yeah, I love it. I subscribe. I think it's awesome. There was one moment not that long ago, and I haven't even been listening to that many podcasts. I've been like Audible, listening to all these audiobooks a lot recently, and other trainings, whatever. But somehow in my pocket, you guys managed to start speaking to me in my head. And I was like, what is that? And I hadn't locked my phone. I don't really lock, my phone wasn't locked. And somehow it was you guys talking about like claiming your power back or something. And I was like, I clearly needed to hear that message at that precise moment. And I was like, what are they? Oh my God. Okay.
We just know. We're all over. We just
right?
know.
It was so spooky. I was like, okay, got it. We'll claim my power back. I can't remember, you were talking about like complaining and, you know, blaming and how that's like just giving away all your power. And it was just that moment I needed that reminder, and I was like, thank you, got it, okay. So it's having an impact all over the world.
Amazing.
Even without us trying to do it. So
that's awesome.
It's so funny. So the one question because I love free flowing conversation, but the one question I'm asking everybody is, what does flow mean to you? Because we all have a slightly different take on it, but you touched on it, but what does it mean to you?
So flow to me is really tapping into that like divine, universal, all-knowing, and allowing that to be my guiding force. So like I said, it's that balance of spiritual plus the humanness of all of us, because we are humans, but we're spirits as well. And if you're just paying attention to one of them, then you're missing half of the equation. For me, it's using spirit to guide me, to give me the inspiration to do what I'm doing in the world. Most of the things that I do, like I think I alluded to the fact that I'm writing a book this year. I didn't even know I was writing a book until 2 weeks ago, when all of a sudden I'm on the call with this guy and got this really clear, oh, you're writing a book, and in June, you're going to leave the country for 2 weeks to go write it, but we're not telling you where yet. And then the book will come out in November, and here's all the people you're hiring for your team, and just like da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, okay. Like, that's being in flow to me. That's me being open to receiving that all knowing, because as humans, we only see like, you know, this little teeny tiny bit that we can see, and we miss like everything else. The universe sees it all. The universe can see everything.
Right.
And so if you're tapping into that universal energy, you're allowing yourself to open up to experiences and successes and, you know, joy and all these things that you couldn't see before, because as humans, you know, we're just looking at a very narrow slice of the pie.
Right. It's like, I get so many people coming to me and they're like, but I know what I want. I just don't know how it's all going to happen. So I'm not sure. I can't like see all the exact steps that from where I am now to where I am. And the plan doesn't quite work. I even had a client just the other day. She was like, so I want to go over the plan again on how to get me to 500,000 this year. I just want to go over like the plan. And I was like, okay, great. And so we've, you know, like she can logically see it's possible for her. But I'm like, we also have to let go of that having to be like that, right? So it's that. But how do you? So I mean, there's going to be a variety of people. Some people are going to be already super connected. There'll be spiritual teachers on here. There'll be like people who are like, what the heck is divine, universal knowing, right? It sounds simple, but not that long ago, I'd have been like, what are you talking about? And how the heck do I do that?
Yeah. So the first step that I always teach in any of my trainings, be it my manifestation, my group training, all my digital, like literally everything I teach, the first step is always that you have to make space. So if you're head is full and your calendar's full and your schedule's full and like your life is full, your house is full, like there's stuff all around you, there's not going to be space for the universe or this, you know, divine unseen knowing to come in, because there's literally no space for it to exist in your life. And so the first thing I always teach is space. Now, does that look like cleaning out your apartment? Possibly.
Yeah.
I go through and purge stuff all the time. I have another donation to Goodwill in the backseat of my car right now. I'm always like clearing out my space so that I know that I just have like this openness in my physical environment. You know, does that also mean meditation? Yes. / yoga / whatever it is to kind of get you out of your head. Yeah. Get you out of that like constricted doing energy and just kind of like relax. Yeah. Because that's when all the information comes. Like I made $100,000 in 90 days last year, and it came from a seed of a thought of a whisper in a meditation. Like that's how the universe starts talking to you. It's usually not quiet and not loud. It's usually a whisper. And if you're not paying attention, if you don't have that spaciousness, you're never going to hear it. Yeah.
I love that story. Maybe you shared that with me, and we're sitting at dinner and you're like, so this just happened. And I was like, that's amazing. And you just heard, tell us what you heard when you were in meditation. And then it's such a great example of taking that inspiration and applying that humanness.
Yeah. To preview this. Yeah. It started with a pregnancy dream, which is funny because I can't get pregnant by choice. I had surgery so that I cannot have children. And so when I have a pregnancy dream, I'm always like, something's trying to like be born through me, like some project or something. I don't know what it is. And so I woke up that morning and was like pretty jazzed, you know, got into the meditation chair and just started asking. And the other thing I always like to remind people about this too is that the answer usually doesn't come on the first try, especially if you're not familiar with this stuff. Right. You have to do it again and again and again. Like I literally had to sit down for 10 days straight and meditate on this dream and just keep asking, like, what's trying to come through me? What is it? Show me. I'm here. I'm open. You just like constantly opening up that energy and being like, what is it? What is it you're trying to tell me? Show me. And so it's not just about asking once. So many people will ask once and be like, well, I didn't get an answer. Screw that. I'm out.
Isn't it a universal law that if you ask, you will be given the answer? Like if you're wait and are patient enough?
The universe has to answer you. Does it have to answer you right now in the second? No. Right. But it has to answer you. You just have to be patient, and it will come. And it may not come in meditation. Even if you're opening up the space in meditation, it might not come in meditation. It might come when you're driving or in the shower or taking a walk or whatever. You just have to be this open, receptive vessel, like on the regular basis to let the universe speak to you.
I love that.
So, but then too, it was like, I got this, like, do a Facebook challenge. And I was like, okay. And then the next day I was like, so what am I teaching?
Right.
And the next day and the next day and the next day. And then it was like, manifestation. You're a queen at manifesting. And I'm like, okay. So then it's like, all right, well, but how do I manifest? I just do it. And then it was sitting down in meditation again, being like, show me day one. And by that point, it started coming a little bit quicker. And day one fully, just like came through me. And then sitting down and like, what's day two? The whole entire thing, like the whole thing from concept to execution was just all divinely guided.
Wow. I find in my business, every time I have taken that thing, that seed that is divinely guided, and then given the action to it, without a doubt, it is the stuff that works the best in my business. Like hands down, I get the fastest results. People respond to it. People email me back. Like I get like a response, and it's not usually something that necessarily makes sense. And it's not something if I was sitting at my laptop and I'm like, I'm going to come up with a challenge because everybody says it's a good idea. That's not necessarily what takes off, right?
Yeah. And it's totally like being in alignment with the universe doesn't look the same for everyone. So while a challenge worked for me, you know, I've guided a few of my clients to be like, try it, see if it works for you. And it hasn't worked for a few of them, which is okay.
Yeah.
Because what's working for them isn't, you know, doesn't work for me. And so this is another thing where people are like, oh, I just want to buy the 6-step guide to like creating a 6-figure business. And it's like, well, one, anyone that's selling you that is simply taking your money. Like there is no 6-step process. There is no easy road to follow. You have to find it within yourself. And if you're looking to do it on someone else's techniques and tools and whatever, like it's not going to work. / it's not going to have longevity.
Yeah, right. And you probably won't be that lit up about it either, right? Like,
if it feels terrible, why are you doing it?
Right.
Like my business partner and I always joke that like, if we're treating ourselves like shit, why did we leave the corporate environment in the first place?
Right? Seriously.
You know, like I'm my own boss. I want to feel like I want to feel great. Why would I do things that feel terrible?
I will put my hand up and say when I started my business, I was the worst boss ever. I was a complete bitch to myself. And I would have me working 12, 16-hour days, no time off, no listening time. I'm like, what is that? I have to work harder and learn more and cram myself. And I just wasn't listening. And that for me has just been a massive, massive lesson. I'm like, oh, okay, now I'm so much nicer to myself. I'm like, I'm the best boss now. It's great.
Thais and I still joke about it. She came over here one day and, you know, we live in LA. She was like, there wasn't any traffic this morning. And I'm like, well, today's a holiday. And she's like, my boss is the biggest bitch in the world. Like, how dare she not fucking tell me today's a holiday? Like,
right?
I should have today off. She and I laugh about it all the time.
I love that. Yeah. Like that is so funny. I worked on a holiday here recently in Australia and I was like, I feel slightly disconnected from the real world these days. Like I'm just like, there's a holiday. Oh, okay. Like school's back. I just operate in this whole other realm, but I love it. So apart from listening to yourself, like you've had this incredible transformational year, like everything looks like it's fallen into place for you. Certainly from the outside anyway. You've got this gorgeous new apartment in downtown LA. Like what else shifted this year apart from surrendering, letting go? What else have you done differently this year that you haven't done in the past?
I mean, I think I just trusting as well. Like it's one thing to hear that voice and it's another thing to really root and ground in the knowing that that's fact. Yeah. So like even this year, you know, I'm getting all these messages and just got this really clear message that like you are going to be a self-made millionaire. And I was just like, oh, like, but then because I've done so much work, I'm like, oh, that's inevitable. Right. Like that's already my truth. That is a fact. And so now when I hear that voice, that guiding voice, it comes as like a knowing in this just really kind of like stable knowing versus before when it would come, I'd go into my head and be like, well, what if, and maybe that's not right. And, you know, just like all the things that we go through. And I think that a lot of it has been, you know, my meditative practice, my connection practice, and just leaning more on the universe as opposed to just trying to do it alone all the time. That's been a story of mine for a long time, is that there's no one to do it but me. And I have to be the responsible one. I've been carrying this since I was like 5. Like I have to feed myself. I'm the adult. I'm the responsible one. I have to do it alone. And if I don't do it, no one else is going to do it. Right. And really just kind of leaning on the universe more to trust that like everything is always in divine order. And it sounds like, so, you know, you recommended that I go see that Reiki practitioner in Bali, and I went to see her and she's like, I feel that you believe in divine perfection. She's like, you understand the concept, like you get it. And she's like, and it's still not quite like grounded as a truth in your life.
Oh.
And so I've been working a lot the last few months on really, really using that as like a guiding force in my life. So like I told you, my cat's been sick, and she had a bladder problem. She had bladder surgery, and came back from Bali to find that she had, peed in a few places around my apartment that she wasn't supposed to, because she was in pain and bleeding and all sorts of things internally. And I spent the whole beginning of the year being like, fuck 2017. Like, this is not how it was supposed to start out. I am supposed to be making $1 million this year, and I'm supposed to be enjoying my word for this year's passion. Like, what is going on? Totally playing the victim. And then those words came back to me that like everything is always in divine order. It's always in divine perfection. And I'm like, oh, this is what she was talking about. Right. It's easy to say that you believe in divine perfection. And then when, maybe not shit, but, hits the fan, like, do you still believe in it? Are you willing? Are you able to like find divine perfection in your cat urinating outside of its litter box?
In your gorgeous new apartment, right? Like,
right? On your brand new rug.
That's going to test the most divinely guided person ever, right? I had a similar start to 2017. I was in Scotland for 3 weeks. I've been traveling for 6 months. I'm like, right, 2017 is my bitch. We're going to go for it. I'm so excited. And, 10 days, 3 weeks in Scotland wasn't exactly accelerating my business. And I got back and I was like, right, I'm going to do this. And then I got so sick. I literally landed back here and it was like, and no. I was like, I've never been sicker in my life. And I was like, what is going on? I was so frustrated. And literally for 10 days, I could barely speak. I was like, it was just horrible. And I had to go into a place of surrender and be like, okay, this just is showing me that I can still do it, but it's not going to happen like I think it should. And it was it was a tough freaking start. And now I'm back into like, oh, I love 2017. But in those moments when I woke up and I was like, this is not cool. but I love that, I at least was able, I'm like, have I manifested this? What's this about? Like I go into that play. I'm like, what have I done to deserve it? But what did I say to get this? Right. But it was more about what did I need to learn? And it was surrender and trust and getting out of, the shoulds. So I love that. I love that. So you teach obviously manifestation, and we talked about that first step of making the space and decluttering and listening and going into meditation or yoga and allowing that little voice to speak. What would be the next step, or what are some of the big mistakes people make when they're trying to do this?
So I think the biggest mistake is that people focus on that how, like you said, that your client is like, oh, we need to go over the plan. We need to I need to know exactly like how it's going to all work out. And so many of us don't even take the first step because we're like, well, I can't see every single step in this journey, so I'm just not going to go on the journey. And so that's a huge one, is letting go of the hows. And then the other thing I would say too is that people focus so much on like the thing of like, say, I want to make $1 million.
Yeah.
And so they focus on making $1 million when their focus should be on like, so I always say like, what's on the other side of that? So it's not actually the $1 million that you want. Like, think about it. Money in and of itself doesn't really have much of a meaning except the meaning we place on it. It's subjective.
Exactly.
And so it's not actually the money that you want. What is it that you want that money for? Like, what's on the other side of that money? Is it traveling more? Is it a home, buying a home? Is it, who knows, whatever that is for you. And so when people focus on the money, a lot of people end up then focusing on the fact that they don't have the money, the lack of the money, which then in turn manifests more lack of the $1 million. Like, I don't have this yet. I need the $1 million. The idea is to drop into the feeling of what's on the other side of that $1 million. Is it you on a beach in Cancun? Is it you flying first class to Italy? Is it you buying the house of your dreams? Like, what is that? And how does that feel? Because the universe is guided by your feelings. It's guided your energy, like how you feel. And if you are feeling like shit all the time, the universe is going to give you more of that. And if you're feeling like you feel when you're on a beach in Cancun or flying first class to Florence or, you know, whatever that is, then the universe is going to give you more of that. And so people really focus on what the thing is and like the exact thing of what it is and how it's going to come and all these things. I call it micromanaging the universe.
Yeah, right.
And in actuality, we should be focusing just on like the energy and the feeling and the emotions of what's ever on the other side of that thing.
Yeah, that is like the key almost to everything, right? I see so many people focusing on, is that like, I'll be successful when, I'll feel good when I get there. And it's like, if only they knew they had to get to the feeling now, and it would be a lot faster.
Yeah. Yeah. And so many people too, I feel like, you know, the secret was like, just put a picture of a red car on your, you know, bulletin board and you'll get a red car. But again, like a red car doesn't mean anything. You don't just want a red car. You want the feeling of what it's like to drive that car. You want the feeling of what it's like to, you know, pull into the valet and have people look at your car. You like, what is it about that red car that makes you want it? Because the red car in and of itself is just a bunch of metal put together with some rubber, you know, in 4 specific places that moves down the road. Like the car in and of itself doesn't mean anything. So why do you want that car? What does it feel like to have that car? What excites you about having that car? And that's what you should focus on. And like Joanna said, doing it now. Like feel that way now. The more you can feel that way now, the more the universe will prove you right and give you more to feel that way about.
Yeah, I love that. And it's, I have to admit, it's sometimes easier said than done.
Yes. I have a bunch of like tools and tips and tricks. Like there's a few things. I love to play adult dress up. This is how
we don't need to know all about your private life.
This is how I got my new car 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
I had the most divinely beautiful car accident I've ever, like, it was amazing. But before that, about a month and a half before that, I had gone car shopping with this guy I was seeing, and we didn't last, but the car shopping experience was super fun. So he was getting a second car. He needed a play car. So we were going around driving like Ferraris and Audis, and drove an Audi R8, I think 120 down the freeway. We drove Mercedes. We went to the Aston Martin dealership, sat in like some Aston Martins in their like back private James Bond themed room. Like, oh my God, it was so nice. And just like the experience of being taken care of in that way. And, you know, people greeting us at the door with like my Starbucks drink and like our names, like as they're ushering us in, like the whole experience. I was like, wow, I want to feel like this more often. Like I was driving a Pontiac at the time, and God bless that car. It took me a really long ways. I loved it dearly. I got to a point where I was like, I'm not a Pontiac woman. Like I'm just not. The $1 million Bri that I see doesn't drive a Pontiac. So when I went with him car shopping that day, the whole point was to have this like visceral experience. What does it feel like for me to be test driving and potentially leasing or purchasing a luxury vehicle? What does that feel like?
Yeah.
And I clearly got so into the feeling that 5 or 6 weeks later, like I said, totaled my car. It was the most beautiful accident, walked away without a bump or a scratch or a bruise or like nothing, but my car was done. It was like I barely hit this guy and the whole car just like fell apart.
Wow. That's crazy. Oh
it was so beautiful. And so that was like 9 o'clock in the morning. I think by 3 o'clock that afternoon, I had a Lexus on a lot in the valley, just like sitting with my name on it.
Of course you did.
Yeah. It was just that easy. Like I got so entrenched in that feeling of like, this is what it feels like. Yeah. And the second I got in that car, I'd never even test drove the car before, but I ended up calling the guy I'd been seeing each other anymore. And, I need some help because I literally know nothing about cars or where to go or who to talk to. And he was like, oh, you're going to want to go to Lexus, you know, talk to Linda, tell her Adam from high school sent you. Oh, and by the way, I know you well enough to know that you're going to want the CT500. It's a hybrid. It's a hatchback, da, 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 da. And I was like,
cool.
Okay. So I go to sit in this car for the first time. It's mine. I've signed all the papers. Like, it's mine. And I go to sit in it and I'm like, this feels so good.
Yeah.
And almost every time I drove that car, every time I was like, this is what it feels like. And now my lease was up, so I just upgraded. And now I sit in that car and I'm just like this is what it feels like.
Nice.
And so the more that I can step into feeling like my $1 million self now, the more that my world is just gonna form around me. That's how it works.
I love that. Oh my gosh. I'm now like, should I go luxury car shopping today?
So I've done this. So I lead women through this, right? So like for me personally, I've been engagement ring shopping because I'm like, I need to know what it feels like to be making that kind of commitment to a man. Like, what does it feel like? And so a girlfriend came with me. And so when you live as if, you can't just go in and like tell yourself this story internally of like, this is fake.
Yeah.
You have to get into the experience as if it were your reality. You're living as if this is your life. And so a girlfriend of mine came with me and she's talking to me, thank God, the whole time. She's like, oh, do you think your boyfriend would like, what do you think about this one? And like talking to me this whole time, right? I'm single.
Yeah.
Then the jewelry woman is like, oh, do you know her boyfriend? And my best friend was like, of course I know her boyfriend. Who do you think I am? And so then the shop woman got enrolled in this vision without even knowing it.
I love it.
So other women of mine they've gone test driving cars. They've gone like wedding dress shopping. They've like shot like the photographers just doing photo shoots and like shooting as if they were shooting for like a national magazine, like all sorts of things. So whatever it is that you're looking to do, like, what would your life be like? Like, how would you feel? What would you go do? Go do it. Go feel that way. Go live it.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And one really simple way, I remember one of my first mentors, she was like, when her home environment didn't feel like $1 million her or whatever, she used to, and still does, I think, take herself to luxury hotels and work in the lobby and just to surround herself in that luxury feeling, and you get beautiful service. And I've been doing the same thing, especially when I travel. And I was in Florence actually, and I'd sort of somehow randomly manifested that. That's a whole nother story. But before I even knew anyway, it's a long story, but it's beautiful. Like, it was amazing. I just sat there and I was served, and I let myself be served, and it was beautiful.
Well, and the thing about that, so many people are like, well, I can't go live my dream life because I don't have any money right now, and I can't like blah, 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 blah. Like, sit at home and give yourself a manicure and a pedicure and pretend like you're doing it. Or go, if you live in LA or somewhere nice, like go sit in the grass and do it and pretend like, you're out. I got a pedicure in Bali. I was outdoors with a fountain next to me, like among the rice paddies. Like, you can recreate these environments without spending a lot of money. Go to a cafe, like, go to a luxury hotel and order a coffee with $5. Like, like you can recreate these experiences, these feelings without spending any money at all. You don't have to spend money. Test driving a car, you don't have to pay for that. Like going ring shopping or bridal dress shopping or any of those, like free, all free.
I love it. I love it. I'm like, I've been hanging out with my friends in some cool places, but I haven't intentionally necessarily gone and done something quite like that. And I'm now like, oh, interesting. I'm like, my brain is like, what can I go do? What can I go do? So,
and then the important part too is that while you're doing it, is that you're telling the story of like, of course this is my life. Like, I come to places like this all the time. Of course they address me as Miss Joanna. Of course, like I like all of these, like, this is my life. And so it's not just going out and doing the thing. It's making sure that everything within you is in alignment with that being your reality as well.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Okay. So I'm just like, my head's off now, like planning my weekend. What I'm doing.
I'm doing a live as if day on Friday. I am going to the spa.
Oh, beautiful.
And the spa, even the spa here in LA, $35 for like a day to just take naps on the jade floor and like sit in the mud tub and like, you know, like it's really not that expensive to go do these activities. And my future self goes to the spa all the time. So it's important that I go now, and you know, $35 is me not having coffee for a week.
Right. That's me. Actually, I went to a beautiful spa in LA for the day, and I felt like a queen. I felt like the queen for the day. And I think my massage was it was an expensive massage, but it was a treat. I just finished my event and I was there for the entire day. I think it was is it the Mondrian maybe? I can't remember where it was. It was a beautiful spa anyway. And I felt like it was quiet. And I felt like the Queen of Sheba, and I was just like being served. And I was like, this is amazing. And so I had a beautiful day, and I was like, this is more like it. This is more like it. I should just book myself a spa day. I think that would be a fabulous thing to do. I love it. Okay, so we're talking about flow. The series is all about flow. How does that work in with manifesting? Like, where do you see the two of those things come together?
So, I mean, manifesting, kind of just like I've been talking about, is this using this like divine inspiration, like getting into the energy of it and then operating from that place. So flow to me, I guess, is maybe synonymous a little bit with alignment. Like not synonymous, but just for me, they go hand in hand, I guess.
Sure. Absolutely.
They're not the same, but they're complementary. So in order for me to be in flow, I have to be in alignment. And so for me, it's that energetic match between, you know, where I'm at now, what I want to be creating, and how I kind of move through my life and my day with that vision, that feeling kind of guiding my every action, thought, movement.
I love that.
That makes sense.
How do you allow yourself to get into that vibration on a daily basis? Is it a daily practice for you?
Absolutely, yeah. So my mornings are mine, like up until 9 a.m., with the exception of Tuesdays. I am unavailable. My phone is not on. I don't talk to anyone. I have wireless speakers in my house. I turn on like spa music and do yoga and meditate and just feel really good. I hang out with my cats. I'll read, I'll journal, like whatever I need that day. Sometimes my mom sent me, I don't know if I thought I had it sitting here. My mom sent me a Cats and Hats coloring book for Christmas. And I've been like devouring that thing, coloring all the time. Like whatever that is, I just spend the time in the morning to really like get into that energetic state, like get calm, shut off whatever is like going on that just doesn't matter. And, you know, ground my energy, get into my body so that I spend the rest of the day operating from that state instead of spending the day, you know, trying to catch up or play, like just responding to whatever I'm given throughout the day. I'm very intentional. You know, I look at my schedule. I look at what are my monthly goals? What are my weekly goals? What am I focusing on today? Like that kind of stuff. Yeah. And then one thing I do recommend, for people is that, you know, it's great to have a morning practice. I get it. 3 hours is completely irrational. I do not recommend that to anyone. Like literally don't do what I do what I say. And so if you can have just like a little check-in in the morning, even like 20 minutes in the morning, maybe 20 minutes in the evening. And then if there's any way for you to check in with that throughout the day as well, it's really important. So what a lot of my clients do is they set an alarm for the morning on their phone and it goes off, say at, you know, whatever time they get up. Then knowing whatever their schedule is for the day, then they start setting timers on their phone throughout the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Knowing like, okay, well, I'm getting up at this time, then I have this meeting and da-da-da-da-da. I'm not going to be able to do my first check-in until 10:30. So they set a timer for 10:30.
Yeah.
And then they basically just check in with that future energetic level throughout the day. And so instead of creating like the peaks and valleys of the like, I'm in the energy, I'm not in the energy, I'm in the energy, I'm not in the energy, it helps create more of like just this baseline of like, the energy you're operating from, instead of, you know, this all over wonky, like being in and out stuff.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love it. And I feel like, you know, people aren't intentional enough with their time and with their days, and I certainly can get pulled into that. Partly I was just explaining to my friend today, and she's like, wow, like, what's going on? And I was like, well, in Australia, my mornings I feel like they can't be as sacred as that, because I speak to so many people in the US, and so my days end up kind of upside down. And to get into my diary, I did one of these interviews at 6 a.m. the other day, just to get into that lady's diary. And because I was like, I think she's awesome. So I'll show up at 6 a.m. And sometimes I'm quite often booked from 7 till midday or 2 in the afternoon with clients and calls. And yeah, I have to get up really early to like either work out or be intentional before that kicks off. And yeah, and it doesn't always happen. So yeah, it's something I'm definitely working on, and it's a big part of what I want to continue to work on.
Well, and the thing I remind people too is that to get into that energetic state, you don't need like a lot of time. And so a lot of people are overwhelmed. You know, I tell my clients to do it 10 times a day. And people are like, oh my God, that's so much. And I'm like, yeah, but it's only like 30 seconds at a time. So over the course of 24 hours, it's literally just 5 minutes. So, you know, if you're resisting 5 minutes, like you could literally go to bed 5 minutes later and just build it into your calendar.
Yeah. No, I do.
Not saying for you, but just in general, like a lot of people will resist this work like majorly. And it's not because you can't fit it into your calendar. It's not because you know, don't like all those excuses about why you can't fit 10, 30-second meditations into your life throughout the day are just resistance, because whatever you say you want, you are probably terrified of. And your innerness is being like, nope. The more I vibrate and like the more I do those meditation things, the more this is going to change. And that's terrifying. So I'm just not going to do them. Like I'm just going to hit snooze on my timer and not do them because I'm terrified.
That's totally been me. I absolutely guarantee, like, and I think there'll be people listening to this who are like, I know this stuff, right? Like they'll maybe heard some of this before, right? If they are not doing it though, they need to be listening to this, right?
Yeah. It's not about knowing it. Oftentimes when we talk about, oh, I know that stuff, that's a defense mechanism. That's you being like, oh, I know it, so I don't have to deal with this. Like I don't have to take care of this. I don't have to look at it.
Yeah. I had a call with a client, and it was kind of like a one-off thing. It was a kind of weird situation, but she was like, we were doing some timeline work, and she's like, oh, I've dealt with my mom's stuff. I'm good with that. Like, I don't need to go there again. And I was like, but if it's coming up, there's another layer to it. And she was like, no, I'm done. And I was like, okay, great. She's like, I feel complete with that. I was like, okay. And it's just, you know, there's another layer. There's like a resistance. And it was like, she was just like not wanting to do it. And I was like, okay, like I can't force anyone to do something. I'm like, okay, if that's cool. But like, it was just an interesting thing to see. It's like that resistance we have to going there sometimes.
Yeah, we say we want all these things, right? And then all of a sudden, you know, when it comes down to 10, 30-second meditations a day, we're like, no, I'm good. I'm good. Right. I will choose to not do those, knowing that I'm not going to get what I want.
Yeah, right. And it's like,
I'm good.
Or the people are like, I will do anything to lose weight except work out or eat less. or
dive into self-love or like any of those things, right?
I'm like, yeah. And I, you know, that's part of my journey as well. And I'm like, oh, sure, I'd do anything. I'm like, but I'm kind of comfortable here too, right? So yeah, but I think it's about being kind to yourself. And if that's where you're at, that's okay, right?
Yeah. I mean, and we've all been there. And to an extent, we're all there with all the things. Like, there's things I say I want that I'm manifesting in my life that haven't shown up yet. And I'm just like, okay, well, you know, what's my part in this? Am I preventing myself from getting it because I'm not doing the work? Possibly. Do I want to stay comfortable where I am? You know, when the rubber hits the road, I mean, like I talk very openly about like I'm manifesting my love right now. And, you know, I don't necessarily check in with his energy as much as I could. Right. Then there's part of it that terrifies me. It's going to change everything about my life.
Yeah.
In a good way, and in a like probably I'm going to have a few temper tantrums kind of way. Like, you know.
But it'll be amazing, and he's going to be so emotionally stable, he'll be able to deal with that, right?
Right.
I'm sure
I've always been the emotionally stable one in all my relationships. Like maybe I get to be the crazy one this time.
I think there's a little give and take, but yeah, I'm sure that manifestation list is long. Do you write things down, or are you more of a vision board girl, or both?
This is the first year I haven't done a vision board, and for whatever reason, I just was not compelled to do it this year.
Yeah.
I've been focusing just a lot more on like a general overall energy versus, like any things. And so for me, my altar, I guess, right, this year is my vision board. When I was in Bali, I got a Saraswati. I've had a Lakshmi on there for a while. I got a Ganesh, even though I have a Ganesh like wall hanging, got one for my altar, got a few new stones. And I think like that's kind of my altar this year, is like really just connecting with this higher source energy in a new way. But in terms of like what I'm creating in my business, I definitely write things down. You know, I have my yearly vision. Then I break my yearly vision down into monthly visions. And then I record those and listen to them in the mornings so that I can get into like the energetics of that and just like be in the state of the woman whose reality that is.
I love that.
But then I'm very like, I have a daily planner, and I very much write things down.
You're a busy lady, right? Like you have a couple of businesses on the go. You have this podcast. Is there any, like, apart from having this daily practice, how do you keep yourself on top of it, organized, and out of that overwhelmed space?
I mean, it's kind of that yearly, quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily thing really helps me be like, okay, well, if this is my yearly vision, then where do I have to be this quarter? And if that's my quarterly vision, where do I have to be this month? And if that's my monthly vision, where do I have to be this week? And then that's what guides my daily actions.
Gotcha.
And so I know what my priorities are in any given moment. That then directly feeds into my yearly vision.
I love it.
That's really important to me. If I don't break it down like that, I feel like I'm just floundering, and that I don't know where to put my energy, and then I just end up doing nothing because I am overwhelmed. And so, yeah.
Well, yeah, one of the keys to flow is really clear goals. So as you know what to work on, literally, like that's one of them. So I love that you do that like naturally. That's like part of your process. That's really powerful. Oh my goodness. I'm a little bit aware of time. I know it's a little bit late for you, and just want to be really respectful so as we can also wrap this up and make sure everyone knows exactly where to find you and what we've got going on. This has been so cool. It's given me some stuff to think about and reminders of things to do. So I think I'll be booking a spa day very shortly. So thank you.
We should all go when you're in LA. Although I do have to warn you that the spa we go to is otherwise known as the Naked Lady Spa. It's a Korean spa.
Oh, actually, I discovered that when I was in LA by accident.
You?
Yeah, by accident. With my other girlfriend, who also was discovering it by accident.
Oh my gosh.
And it was the night before my event, and we went to get scrubbed. Like, we knew we were going to get body scrubs and massages, and then we were going for the spray tan. And we were sharing a room. She was like my like right-hand woman for the event. And within like, we walked in this Korean place, and we just looked at each other, and she was like, give me your towel kind of idea. And we were like, okay, this is happening. And we were just like, oh, I guess we're just, and we had to surrender, and it was like surrender and visibility with each other as well. And it was just here's me in my nakedness. So
yeah, Tice and I go together all the time.
Yeah, it's just like, and that's it. It's like, here we go, girls, right?
Yep.
It's so funny. It's so funny. We like laugh about that sometimes. So yeah, it was a lesson we both needed, clearly, although we didn't know we were going to get to know each other that well. But I might hold you to that, or maybe we just go for drinks. I'm just kidding. Can you tell, where is the best place to find you? Like, where do you hang out the most online?
I hang out a lot on Facebook and Instagram primarily. I am on both. If you just look up Bri Seeley, I think there might be one other Bri Seeley in the world.
Lucky you. There's so many Joanna Turners. It's like, oh, that's funny.
Yeah. So on Facebook, also Instagram. My website is Bri Seeley. My Twitter's Bri Seeley. I'm all over.
We'll find you, and all the information will just be below this video as well. And you have very kindly offered everybody a free gift. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And also the link will be just below here as well.
Yeah, so you guys know I'm very intent upon being systematic and having my goals and my vision and all these things. And so I've created a digital daily planner. So it has a month template and then Monday through Sunday templates. And so you can either print them off once a week and use them, or I've had clients like laminate them and just have them, and then you can write on them with dry erase and erase it and just kind of like have this thing.
Cool.
You can just kind of have a system, and it has built-in tracking so that you can track your 10 30-second meditations every single day.
Okay.
And it has other like prompts and questions for you about manifestation. So, you know, it asks you things like, if you were your future self today, how would you feel? Like those kinds of things to really get you into that mindset of that manifestation, of that energy, of that vibration. And then reminding you those, you know, you can track 10 times a day or more. By all means, you know, do more. Although I have to say manifestation is a nice combination of present and future. You can't live too much in the future.
Right.
So yeah, it's a pretty cool daily planner. It's like a far out vision to do a products line, because I love my daily planners. I am obsessed. So someday
might not be as far away as you think it is.
I don't know. It might be next year. Get my book out, my 3 digital programs. Maybe next year will be the year of product. Who knows?
Who knows? I love it. Well, I'm definitely going to check that out. One last question. Do you have, like, for the 10, 30-second meditations, so I'm like, I'm going to do this. Do you have an app or anything that you can recommend on how to like set a little bell or something that goes off to do that?
So I recommend my clients just use the clock thing. So I have them start out by setting not the world clock. So I have them start out every day just by setting like an alarm.
Yeah. And
then after the preliminary alarm goes off every day, I have them just kind of go to the timer thing. Oh, and you can just, sorry, there's, you can just set the timer and then hit start.
Yeah.
Some of my clients were trying to put alarms on every day, but then every day looks different and then you have to readjust the alarms. And so I was like, start with an alarm. And then you can use the timer, because then you'll know like, okay, well, I'm doing one now. I have an hour meeting, so I'm going to set my timer for an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah. Got it.
You know, and then you do that and you're like, okay, I have to go run to the store and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to need 2 hours. So I'm going to set my timer this time for 2 hours. And then like, you can just kind of like gauge your day and set the timer every time.
I love it. Yeah. Like, cause I could be in the middle of an interview and it's like, ding, 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 your next 30 seconds. And I'd be like, oh, hang on. If you watch the other interview, this will make no sense.
Bri told me.
And I'm just doing what I'm told because she knows her shit. So just obeying.
That's funny. A bunch of my women, when I released the daily planner, I was like, guess what I'm releasing something fun. Guess what it is? And all these women were like, oh my God, an app, a timer app. Are you releasing a timer app? So that's also kind of like maybe
Ooh.
in the back of my mind as to like, I've started just having conversations about like what would need to be in the app and how would it function, and you know, would you have add-ons, like that kind of stuff. So I've started having like little exploratory conversations, but again, not this year.
I bet your app designer just shows up. You like meet him at a party, or this new man is like an app designer or something.
Oddly enough, I just did happen to meet one in Bali that I did tell you about.
Oh, well, that's a coincidence, isn't it?
Yeah. He's the one we were having conversations. Like we'd go out for dinner and I'd be like, so tell me about this app you're building for this other person. Just like,
yeah. Oh, see,
so.
be careful what you wish for.
Right.
Wow, that is powerful. Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Love this. Like, I'm gonna go play adult dress up, and see which of my friends are up for it.
It's
like,
so much fun.
We know you're like gone a bit woo woo, but that's too far. We're not up for that. I'm like, no, not that. It's different.
I love it.
Oh my god, that's so funny. All right, I'm gonna hit stop, and thank you so much. And guys, check out Bri, follow her, and yeah, we'll see you on the next interview. Bye.
Thank you.